Hello. Oh, awesome. So, hello for everyone joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I will give everyone time to arrive um, before we get started with today's lunch bunch. For those of you who have never been here before, my name is Bill, and welcome to lunch bunch number 3, where we will be discussing The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. I love this book so much, and I'm excited to hear what everyone else thinks about it as well. Uh, so we'll get started in just a few moments. The way this is going to work is I have brought my lunch, which is a banana. I thought it was appropriate since Roz and all of the other animals are on an island, and I think of bananas as being an island fruit. So as far as I can remember, there are no bananas on Roz's island. So as I said, today we'll be talking about The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. And basically, I will go through and talk about some of my favorite parts of the book. And feel free to chime in if you all have favorite parts or if you like the same things about the book. And then I will give you some recommendations for what to read next if you really liked The Wild Robot. Luckily, there are plenty of amazing books out in the world. So hopefully everyone had time to read all of The Wild Robot, but if not, don't worry. I'm going to try my very best to avoid spoilers for pretty much this second half of the book. Feel free to ask questions about it if you want, but in case people didn't have time to get through the whole book, or you were just interested in learning about it, I'll try not to spoil too much. But anyway, as I said, my name is Bill, and welcome to the Lunch Bunch. We are talking about The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. The Wild Robot is about a robot who washes up on the shore of an island during a hurricane in a box. And a group of adorable little otters. I know they're adorable because Peter drew them to be as cute as possible, just like all of the other animals in this book. Oh my God, they're so cute. I love them so much. As I said before, I'm eating a banana because I think of bananas as being an island fruit. So Roz washes up on this island, and these otters press her power button and turn her on. And then she is left to fend for herself in the wilderness and learn how to survive. And survival and learning and adapting are big parts of this book. And I think that's one of the really cool things about this. Over the course of the book, you get to watch Roz learn both on her own using the powers of her wonderful robot brain or robot computer-like brain, and also eventually learn from all of the other animals. So starting off on my list of 3 favorite things about this book. How fitting. 3 favorite things for Lunch Bunch number 3. I always do 3 favorite things. But the first on my list, and this is going to sound slightly strange, I love how short the chapters are in this book. And the reason that I love how short the chapters are in this book is because this book is the perfect read aloud. Not just because there are parts in the book that are addressed directly to the reader, which I think makes something an ideal read aloud, but having short chapters like this make it really easy for teachers, for parents, for siblings, grandparents, whoever, kids to read to one another, because it's easy to find a good stopping point if people are losing their attention span. I think the book pulls you right along, so you're never really at risk of losing the attention span. But it makes it easy to read the book in short little installments. And you can always find a good stopping point so that you're ending at the end of a chapter, as opposed to ending in the middle of a chapter and then having to pick it up again and be like, where were we? No, the chapters are the perfect length, so you never have to worry about that. I also think it makes it easier. Some of my favorite books growing up were Roald Dahl books, and I remember those having relatively short chapters as well. And it makes it easy as a kid reading to not be daunted by this like 250-page book because you're moving through it so quickly. The book has like 80-something chapters, but you can feel like you're moving through it like that. For anyone just joining, again, we are talking about The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. Here, I'll show the book cover again. Ta-da! Because this actually ties into my second favorite thing about this book, which is Peter Brown's absolutely brilliant artwork. So Peter, for those of you who don't know, is a picture book illustrator in addition to being a wonderful author. Oh, good. We're getting questions in the chat. Hello. And the question, can you make a Wild Robot 3, please? I would love nothing more than that. And hopefully someday there will be a Wild Robot 3 in the world. Unfortunately, I don't have any news on that front at the time. So for now, there are just 2 books, The Wild Robot and The Wild Robot Escapes. But I would love nothing more than more Roz and more Bright Bill in my life. Like, please, I want it as much as you do. But anyway, as I was saying, as you can see from the cover, Peter Brown is a brilliant illustrator and a brilliant author. And I think because he is such a strong picture book illustrator, he really knows how to marry a story of pictures and words. And The Wild Robot has that beautifully. One of my favorite illustrations is of Fink the fox when he has the porcupine needles stuck in his head and in his paws, and he's just like laying back on the log asking Roz to help him. I love that one. I love the illustration of Roz when she is camouflaged for the first time and you just see the flowers growing out of the robot. I think it's such a beautiful way to capture the like coming together of technology and nature that this book kind of talks about a lot. And again, hello to everyone joining. This is the Lunch Bunch. We were talking about The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. My name is Bill. I'm eating a banana. And so yeah, I love Peter's illustrations. I said this 2 weeks ago when we talked about Clementine. I love illustrated chapter books. I think they're such a perfect bridge. And as I said in my first favorite thing, the short chapters combined with illustrations make for a perfect read aloud. You can read The Wild Robot to just about any age child, provided they're willing to sit still. Ooh, a question. Good. Max was asking, does Peter Brown start with the pictures or the story? That's a very good question. I believe he starts with the story and then goes back and draws the illustration. Though if I'm remembering correctly, because I did once upon a time when I worked in a bookstore before I worked at a publisher, I did go to school visits with Peter. He's amazing. If you have the chance to have him come to your school, please do. He's such a good presenter. And I do believe he drew Roz before writing the whole book. But he does go through and map out the story, if I'm remembering correctly. And Peter can correct me on Twitter if I'm saying this wrong. But yeah, so the illustrations combined with the short chapters, I think, make for an ideal read aloud experience. And I'm a big fan of kids reading aloud with their parents. It's especially great, and I think Wild Robot is great for this as well, when kids can start reading to their parents or to a younger sibling. I loved doing that, and I think it's a great way to build confidence. Oh, yay, and another shout out for The Wild Robot Escapes. It's very rare that I love a sequel as much as I loved the first book, and I think The Wild Robot Escapes is so like a perfect continuation of The Wild Robot without like going back and just repeating the same formula. I think it continues the story in a really beautiful way. I won't give any spoilers whatsoever for Wild Robot Escapes, but I just will say that it's wonderful and I highly recommend it. And then my third favorite thing in this book, and this may just be cheating because she is kind of the book itself, Roz. I love Roz. I love the way Peter draws Roz in all the different illustrations where her legs are like this when she's running and they're like spread out. That image is so amusing to me. And I love watching her learn about her environment and adapt to it. Roz, as a robot, has this incredible like computer like knowledge of everything. And she uses that in such interesting way. And Razum, yes, yes. So the way that Roz comes up with her name, or the way she first tries to introduce herself to the animals of the forest, is that she says that I am Razum 19, but you can call me Roz. And that's like her robot name, like the name of the model, like you would say like an iMac or something. Oh, so that's a good question. Does Roz get older like Brightbill does? And Roz and Brightbill. So I said I wouldn't give too many spoilers. Max, that is an excellent question. Thank you, Lisa, for highlighting how great that question is. And so Brightbill is Roz's son. He is a gosling. He shows up about a third of the way into the book. There's a little accident. I don't want to say too much more, but I love Brightbill, not just because my name is Bill, but it's really cool to see Roz as a mother. So Roz, Max's question was, does Roz get older like Brightbill does? And Roz and Brightbill talk about this a little bit as Brightbill gets older and starts to get more curious about robots in general. And Roz's answer is basically that she doesn't get older per se because she is not quite alive. Although Brightbill does say, well, you can think, you can move, you're alive. But Roz, while she does say that she doesn't get older, she does say that she changes. And I love that. I think part of getting older is changing and learning more. And so that's sort of the way that Roz grows, is by learning and by changing and by adapting. She learns how to be a better friend to the animals. LD, that's also a very good question. So LD's question is, do the Ricos have a nickname? And because I don't want to give spoilers about the ending of the book, I'm going to pass on that question because I don't want to say too much about the Ricos because they show up very close to the end of the book, and it's it's a little bit of a surprise. The Ricos do have numbers like Roz does, though. But that is a very good question. Yeah, so sorry that I can't answer in too much detail. As I said, I try to avoid spoilers too much in this because we try to pick books that we think people can get through in 2 weeks. But sometimes something comes up, you don't have time, but you still want to talk about the book because you're enjoying it so much as you're reading it. And these have all been great questions. So yeah, like I said, my third favorite thing on my list of top 3 things about the wild robot is Roz herself, and watching her learn, watching her be a mother to Brightbill is really cool. I always tear up whenever she like befriends a new animal, especially the bears. Oh my gosh. The bears and Roz have a little bit of a tension, let's say, towards the beginning of the book. And I won't say what actually happens, but that moment is really beautiful and always moved me. And sneaking in a final little half thing, I also love chit chat. Love chit chat. Squirrels are hilarious to me, and chit chat is the ideal squirrel in my book. So yeah, so those are my top 3 things. And please, again, if you have any questions, if you have something about the book that you want to shout out that you particularly like as well, feel free to hop on in the chat and let me know. We usually do this for about 15 minutes. So we're coming close to our time. Max, I love the bears too, so much. The brother and the sister, also are just like, I have sisters, and the way the bears are with each other, the brother and the sister, they're exactly like human brothers and sisters, but they're bears, and it's great. Oh, yes, Jenny, I love, 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 love reading Chit Chat's dialogue. Is my favorite to read aloud. I agree. Chit Chat's dialogue is really, really fun to read aloud. This book is an amazing read aloud. I highly recommend, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you're a child and you want to try like reading aloud so that you feel more confident, this is a great book for that. And it has all sorts of fun sounds, like the clinks, the clanks, the clunks that Roz makes, the sounds of the pine cones. Everything about it is fun. You can try to do different voices for the animals. And Peter sort of imbued all of the animals with distinct fun personalities. I love the geese too. The geese and the beavers. I love all of the animals. But yes, Jenny, Chit Chat is a favorite of mine as well. And LD, do I know what happens to the animals? Yes, but that also falls into the territory of spoilers. And you said you're reading The Wild Robot Escapes right now, so I don't want to give too much away. So I thought I'd close things out with a couple of recommendations for other books to read if you like The Wild Robot. So obviously, if you like The Wild Robot, you should 100% read The Wild Robot Escapes. The Wild Robot itself definitely ends on a cliffhanger. You're left wanting to know what happens to Roz, and as LD asks, what happens to the animals, all of those animals that Roz has befriended. You fall in love with all of them and you want to spend more time with them. So The Wild Robot Escapes, definitely. And both of the books, actually, they just came out in paperback, which is great. So you can go out and get those right now, which is very exciting. And then the next one, I would say, is a book that is actually just came out this week. It is called The Incredibly Dead Pets of Rex Dexter. And it's by Aaron Reynolds, who actually, he and Peter Brown wrote a couple of picture books together. If anyone knows the Creepy Pair of Underwear books, or the Creepy Carrots books, they wrote those together. And if you like the humor in those picture books, I would definitely say that Incredibly Dead Pets of Rex Dexter has that sense of humor, and also just the funness of all of the animals. It's a mystery, which I also adore great mysteries. And Rex, like Roz, is a great narrator. He is very, very funny. And basically the concept is that he wants nothing more than a dog for his birthday, and his parents give him a pet chicken instead. And through a little bit of magical weirdness and a horrible accident, the chicken winds up dead. And it is very much Rex's fault. But then it also turns up that there are some animals that are dying at a local zoo, and Rex tries to solve the mystery. It's, like I said, very funny. Love all of the animals that show up. Rex gets, as part of the accident, Rex winds up able to see and hear dead animals. And the animals are hilarious and just like hang out en masse in Rex's bedroom. It's so good. Ooh, LD says you got The Wild Robot for Easter. Yay, that's so exciting. Oh, you read it fast then. That's awesome. I love that. I mean, The Wild Robot is a very quick read. Like I said, once you start, you really don't want to put it down. And then I guess the final book that I would recommend for people who like The Wild Robot is one that's not out yet. It's coming out in the fall, in September, and it's called The Silver Arrow. Also gorgeously illustrated. It's by Lev Grossman. I love it so much. It is about Kate and her brother. Kate receives from her uncle a magical train. Not a toy train, like a full-size train for her birthday. And she and her brother go off on this train, and the train starts stopping at all of these train stations, and animals are waiting at these train stations, and each of them has like a ticket in their mouth or like in their paw. And the animals all start to get on board the train, and Kate doesn't know why these animals are showing up, but they can all talk to her. And she and her brother have to help these animals get to where they're going. I think it has a lot of heart. It definitely made me tear up in the same way that the Wild Robot did. I cry at everything, but like, so definitely keep an eye out for. I do. It's true. I cry at everything. I laugh really loudly and I cry a lot. I like to think that means that I have good feelings. But I would definitely say check out The Wild Robot Escapes, The Incredibly Dead Pets of Rex Dexter, which is brand new, and keep an eye out for The Silver Arrow in the fall. I love all three of those, and if you love The Wild Robot, you will love them as well. So we've got a little bit over time today, but thank you everyone for coming and hanging out for Lunch Bunch number 3. I barely ate any of my banana. This is terrible, but that's because I was having so much fun talking with everyone. I'm glad that you all love The Wild Robot as much as I do. A huge, huge thank you to Peter Brown for writing and illustrating this incredible story that I love to read, reread, and share. And join me again in 2 weeks, because we'll be doing this again. We can come hang out for a little bit of a lunchtime. And we're going to be talking about The Magic Misfits by Neil Patrick Harris, which will be a lot of fun. Maybe I'll learn how to do a magic trick. Who knows? But that book is really fun as well. So back here in 2 weeks, I'll see you all again. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe and have a great day.